That's another really big thing I want everybody to understand is if you ever have something that continues to seem like it's like tapping you on the shoulder, you can't stop thinking about it, you're like, I think I should do this, please don't ignore that. Like PSA, do not ignore that. That is the universe trying to tell you like, hey, open your eyes. This could be for you. Don't ignore this. So if any of you have that going on right now, I want you to really channel that today and figure out why you keep getting that tap on your shoulder. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Girl, Why Not You? I'm Jennie Blackwood, and this is episode 1. Now, before I jump into my story, my juicy story, I'm going to tell you exactly who this show is for. This is for all of you women out there who are ready for a change, but you don't know how to get there. Those of you that are working a 9-to-5 you can't stand, but you feel stuck. Those of you who are moms working a 9-to-5 who want more time with your family, but you feel like there's no way out. Those of you who are just looking for something in your life to take you from comfortable and, quite frankly, maybe even miserable, to something rewarding that gives you purpose. This is for somebody who is looking for someone who's just like me, who started from nothing and are ready to make the biggest change in your life yet. And I'm going to peel back the curtain on some juicy details on all the shit I've been through to get where I am today. And I'm going to bring other incredible female entrepreneurs on this show too to show you. You can absolutely say to yourself, look in the mirror today and say, girl, why not you? Because if I could do it and these other amazing women can do it, you can absolutely do it too. So thank you for tuning in. Here we go. All right, so now everybody saddle up because we are about to dive in to my story. I'm peeling back the curtain because I want you guys to see what it took to get where I am. I've been through some shit, okay? And I'm sure all of you have been too, right? Like life is beautiful, but it can also be very difficult. I look back to like if we go way back, I was adopted. Kind of a random fact. Lucky, my birth mother had me at 16. I got the most incredible family. My dad was my best friend. My mom's amazing. I grew up in a really small town. Funny story, I didn't get away with anything. My dad was a sheriff's deputy and my mom was a high school teacher. So like I grew up pretty straight-laced. Out of high school, boom, going into junior college, I had this dream of getting into a beach city college, okay? So I'm like doing everything that I can. I get accepted after 2 years of junior college into Long Beach State, which was very, very exciting. At the time, I was dating this dude who he was like all into baseball, wasn't that good to be honest, but he was going to go Midwest. But he decided to go reroute to Orange County with me. I was so excited, like, oh my gosh, my dream's coming true right before my very eyes. So here I am. I'm trying to prep. I got accepted to Long Beach State. My parents tell me this is like a very defining moment. You're going to see why I'm telling you this. My parents tell me, okay, you're accepted, but if you're going to go down to somewhere this expensive, you need to have some income that you're putting forth to help us with your living expenses. So I'm like, all right, whatever. This is kind of a defining moment that made me realize that I am like, I don't take no for an answer. I figure out a way, okay? So I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to have to help pay for rent, what's the best way that I could get rent for less? And then I start looking all online and I realized that you could become something called a leasing agent. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to become a leasing agent. I had no idea what that was or how it worked, but I started finding all these different apartment communities and property management companies down in the area that I wanted to move to. I started applying like crazy, and I finally got somebody to say, yes, we'd love to interview you. So I'm like, yes, this is the best day of my life. I'm so excited. I look back now at 20-year-old me at this time. I put myself on a plane. Okay, I flew by myself down to Orange County. Mind you, grew up in a very small town. So for me, this was not like something I was used to doing. My family didn't really travel like this when we were growing up. So I put myself on a plane, went down, got a taxi, had it take me to this place I was supposed to interview, started interviewing for something that I had never done before, a day in my life. You know, I tell you guys all the time, for those of you that already know me, it's like I'm very much of a fake it till you make it mentality. I think you have to be in certain scenarios, but I went in there with confidence, even though on the inside I was probably crumbling, right? I met nice people. I interviewed and I was like, okay, here I go, right? You know, it was just like, it's surreal. I get back in that taxi. I go back to the airport. I end up getting a call that they would love to hire me. And for me, I was just like, oh my gosh, like it was just like a realization of like, so many different scenarios could have happened. I could have been like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be resourceful. My parents say I have to get this job. Maybe it's just easier to stay here. I can tell you, like, I have never chosen the easy route because easy, like, keeps you the same. Easy is just like you're asking to just stay in the same, monotony that you're in every single day. So going down there, doing that, getting that job at a young age, I couldn't even drink yet, right? So thrilling. So then I'm like, okay, I'm moving down here. This is actually happening, right? My boyfriend at the time, he ends up moving down there a couple months before me. Okay, so that should not have really been an issue, although he was redshirting for a baseball team. So that meant open fraternities, open sororities, right? Like this guy started living the dream. And I want to say I was like 3 or 4 months behind him. Turns out that he ended up deciding right before I moved that he wanted to live the single life, man. Like he's in college now. He should be able to like party with these people and like not be tied down. And I'm like, I thought I was moving down here with this guy. So now all of a sudden, my dream kind of starts to unravel before my very eyes. And I get down there and I'm like, I don't know anybody. My cousin lived down there. My grandparents lived down there, exactly who you want to hang out with in college, right? And then I'd like a family friend who I had been friends with in like 4th grade was down there. But other than that, I knew nobody. So I look back again and I guess I'm like, good for you, right? Because I easily could have been like, you know what, Mom and Dad, maybe it's just easier to stay close to home. Like I'm heartbroken. I can't do this. But I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. And I went down there and I remember being so sad and like, this is not how this was supposed to be, right? But I showed up the first day for my job. Even though I was like melancholy on the inside, I established my job. I started meeting people because it was actually kind of cool. Like at an apartment complex, there's all kinds of people that live there and are looking to get a place there, right? So it's a good way to meet people. But I had to start from scratch. Job. Area, like never lived far away from my parents before. Then, trying to make friends and going out to like all of a sudden this new life of like I turned 21 and then we're going out to the bars and all these different things. So it's like that was a really defining point in my life because I probably should have shattered, right? But I overcame my circumstances and I ended up better because of it, right? So I'm down there. I'm doing the dang thing. I've built a life. And that felt so good. And I was good at this leasing job. Like I was always getting like top salesperson. It was a good thing. I had it made. Now you're going to see a repetitive story here. And I swear this will all tie in. But funny story. I happened to be out at a bar one night. I was supposed to have gone to a wedding. I didn't go. And my friend Amy and I decided to go out to a bar. While I'm there, I happened to see somebody that was a friend of mine from high school. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? This is so random. I mean, very different necks of the woods. And she had been down there for a wedding or something as well. Well, then like insert this dude that all of a sudden she's like, have you met my brother? And I'm like, no, I have not met your brother. But let me tell you, it was like love at first sight, okay? So all of a sudden, like, it's this like whirlwind romance. Here I go again, right? I swear to God, like I should do a podcast on how to get your heart broken because I was really fucking good at it. So anyways, meet this guy, whirlwind romance, and then it's like for like months, like he's traveling down to CB, I'm going home to see him, and then it's like he's trying to get hired where I'm at, just not happening. So here I do, like make a phone call to my dad, like, hey dad, I know I'm in my last fucking semester of school, but I'd really like to transfer up to Sac State because I just want to be with this guy so bad. My dad's like, oh my God, like you've changed your major 75 times. Now you want to change schools. Now you want to move home for this dude. It was like probably a hot mess. But again, like my dad was like super supportive. He wanted me to be happy. So he says yes. So I changed my entire life. Like, first of all, everybody, like, don't abandon something amazing you've built for somebody else ever, right? I mean, it's just not the best idea. Advice tip number 1 today. So I move home, okay? I end up getting engaged. Every girl's dream shortly after that. I get engaged. And then we start planning this wedding. My parents are putting down all kinds of deposits. I'm like, I tried on my wedding dress for the first time ever, with my mom. Like, what an amazing milestone in your life. My magnet, like to save the date. People aren't doing that anymore. Back then, people were putting up save the dates on magnets, okay? my magnet was on hundreds of people's fridges, okay? 3 months before I'm supposed to walk down the aisle, the guy I was engaged to says, what do you think about maybe holding this off until next year? And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You want to postpone our wedding 3 months before it happens? And I'm just like mortified, like you could not even fucking imagine. So mortified. Okay, like my magnet's up. I'm going to have to start making all these phone calls. And I tell him, I'm like, no, because if you don't know for 100% sure that you want to marry me now, you may never. And I am not interested in being in a relationship where somebody isn't 1,000,000% sure that they want to spend the rest of their life with me, right? So, whole thing implodes. My parents are out tons of money. This is so embarrassing. We're having to call all kinds of people, right, to tell them that this wedding is off. And I changed my entire life to come back for this, right? Now, you may think, oh my God, girl, like this is not cool. Like obviously, like my men picker has not been great in the past, right? But moving on from that, I had to rebuild myself again. Okay. And at this point, I'm like mid-20s, having to rebuild all over. But I can tell you that every time I've had to rebuild myself, something better has come from that. And I can tell you that just like in life in general, like I am so sure that all of you are going through hard times, no matter what that looks like. But I can tell you, as long as you can stay strong enough to rebuild, the rebuild will be better. Now, this story doesn't end there, nor does my abilities to pick terrible men. Next, insert who became my actual first husband. Super nice, razzle-dazzled, all the things in the beginning. Like, we were together for an okay amount of time. But this guy, he was, I was married to him while I was, like, really in the corporate world. I ended up, like, kind of moving into the marketing and advertising spectrum of corporate, which today has paid off tenfold. But I was married to him, I was working for big PR and marketing agencies, and the thing was, I had this light bulb moment go off where I'm like, okay, I'm doing all the work. I am bringing in the clients here. I am barely paying my PG&E bill. And these people I see the checks being written to these companies, right? And I'm like, there is something so wrong here. Like, I am the talent, right? I am the one that is like pushing the paper and making all this happen and keeping these clients happy and bringing them here in the first place. So I had this light bulb moment and I said to my ex-husband, I'm like, here's the deal. I think I could do this better myself. He's like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, well, I'm doing it all. These people I'm going out to these sales meetings. I'm getting the people to sign up. I'm doing the work. Like, people are happy. I'm like, but I'm making nothing. So how can I make this work for me instead of me working for them, right? And so this is like always, like, see this pattern. This is always my mentality. How can I make this work, right? So he's like, okay. So we like toy around with it. And, I didn't make good money, but I made enough to contribute, right? So like for him to be like, you want to go down to one salary? Like, we're really taking this risk. But I'll tell you, like, I told myself, okay, well, I'm established in this industry. If I take this risk, I could have the most beautiful reward. But if I never take the risk, I stay stuck. I have this 9 to 5, right? I am barely paying the bills. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. So I knew, though, if I took the risk, and let's just say it utterly failed, which is always like worst case scenario, right? It utterly fails. I had an industry that I could fall back on. And so for me, I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm going to take this leap. I'm going to try it, and I'm going to see what I can make of this. Because you know what? I trust myself a whole lot more than I trust, like, a boss. People are absolutely disposable. I don't care what your job is. I have somebody who's a client of mine right now who literally worked for the federal government for 32 years, was about to retire, and they laid her off. So I'm telling you, like nobody's safe, okay? And I'm not trying to scare you, but who could you trust more than yourself, right? So I remember it was like, okay, this is really happening. He bought me this like nice laptop. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to do the dang thing. And I'm going to tell you, I dig the dang thing, okay? I started this business. I got 5 clients. This was a little dicey for a while, by the way, but I got 5 clients who followed me right away when they found out what I was doing after I left. So they follow me. I'm instantly in business. That's kind of rare, right? But I had worked really hard for it in a different way. So I'm instantly in business. I have 5 clients. I'm going to tell you, by the end of my year 1, And this, I started my own social media marketing agency. I should probably put that to the universe. I started my own social media marketing agency, like a boutique situation. By the end of year 1, I had tripled the income that I had been making working for somebody else. Tripled. Like, that is insane. Like, all of a sudden I was like baller, like in my own head, I was like ballin' compared to what I had been making. So here I am making it happen. But I'm going to tell you, aside from the financial, which was unbelievably exciting, there was something even bigger that this opportunity did for me. My dad, who I've already mentioned a couple times, who was my best friend, he, a few years prior, had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. And unfortunately, it had metastasized into his bones. So prognosis, not great. That was the most terrifying several years of my life because, I had seen how easy it was for other people to like come and go in my life, right? But this was like my knight in shining armor, my dad. And for him to be sick and for me to feel out of control and things that I couldn't, I couldn't change it no matter how badly I wanted to. What this business did for me, working for myself, taking that leap, when he was in like the last couple months of his life, I spent invaluable time with him. I was always up at my parents' house. I was always there. I could work from home. I wasn't worried about a boss. I wasn't worried about somebody being mad at me or if I had enough PTO. Like, I was doing this on my own. And for me, I was given invaluable time with my father where I believe that if I had had a 9-to-5 still, I would have felt guilty. I would have been like, I can only come up with her on the weekends, Dad, and it's like that would have been a regret I would have had forever. But this business gave me the opportunity to have the ultimate flexibility. So yes, I tripled my salary, but I also had time. And that is something that today I have come to value almost as much as income, sometimes even more. Because time, we don't have a lot of it, right? We have to spend it doing things that we love, things that make us feel good, things that give us purpose. So many people get stuck wasting so much time in like a land of misery. And I'm here to show you firsthand that that doesn't have to be you, if that is in fact you, right? So that all happens. I start this business. My dad ends up passing away, quite tragically, actually. Yes, he had cancer, but California denied him the end-of-life pill. So he ended up taking his own life. I left for one night, and that happened. So you want to talk about trauma. But again, something that I have to rebuild from, right? Every time something like this happens, it's traumatic, but it's shaping who I am as a person. So I move on. My dad dies. I'm unbelievably devastated. About a year later, maybe a year and a half, that guy I was married to, he ended up retiring from something he was doing, started something else. And he was traveling a lot. And then I started finding some really fun text messages to another girl who was not me. On his Apple Watch, by the way. You want a pro tip? Don't look at the phone, look at the Apple Watch. Found it on the Apple Watch. So then, obviously, things got pretty hairy in my household. I think he had already moved on emotionally, at least with this person. We decided to get a divorce. So you can imagine I've lost my dad. Now, a year-ish later, I'm going through a divorce. So the other thing that this business did for me was that through the entirety of this divorce, I didn't need a freaking dime from this dude. Okay? I supported myself. I had a car, a truck, a horse trailer, 2 horses, my rental, my bills, everything I'd done, and I supported me. I can't even tell you how many times my mom would call and be like, "No, are you sure you don't need some money?" And I'm like, no, because I needed to know that I could do it on my own. I knew I had help if I needed it, but being able to see the empowerment of, girl, you built this. You're not taking money from somebody else. Like, you've done this all on your own. That feels so good, everybody. And I hope that not that you all go through divorces, but I hope that you all have something like this in your life at some point where you can go, oh my God, I built this. And I don't care how small or big it is. Like, it could be as small as creating a course that sells a couple $100 a week, right? Or it could be something as big as like, holy moly, like I'm making it rain. But I'm here to tell you, like, giving yourself that opportunity is life-changing. So many of us never get that opportunity because we don't know where to start. We don't know how. Our mindset is telling us we can't do this. Your limiting beliefs are keeping you from a truly beautiful life that you are dreaming of, right? So use me as an example. Now I can at least end this and tell you, I met a really great guy after that guy. Okay, I have like the best husband, soulmate, if you believe in that. He is supportive. He is patient. He's been with me through so many different things. And, having that finally just I actually feel like I've always said this. He's like so similar to my dad. I'm like, oh, maybe it took my dad getting up to heaven to help me actually pick a good one, right? Because I don't think I was very good at doing that on my own. But I can't tell you like the support from him, it has helped immensely. Where I am today, sitting in front of you today, the reason that I am here now, this is a few years ago, okay? Had a toddler at home. I have 2 amazing bonus daughters. They're a little bit older. I had a toddler at home, and I was 8 months pregnant. My husband had always been a very successful real estate broker. Like, we built an income on that, and I was getting to live the stay-at-home mom life I had always wanted. We were rocking during COVID. If anybody's in real estate, you know what that looked like. But then as the economy started to dip, so did real estate. So his phone, who had always just kind of rang, it was always just like an easy thing. He didn't market. He didn't do anything like that. He just was good. He had a good name. He'd been doing it for like 24 years. All of a sudden, that phone stopped ringing. And all of a sudden, our bills started stacking and stacking and stacking. And we just kept waiting, like on a hope and a prayer that this phone was going to ring. Well, we kind of started to realize, like what's going on? Like this isn't just a little blip. This is really something that's a problem. So, we start paying bills out of our savings account. I start saying things like, oh my gosh, maybe we need to sell stuff, and it's like that's such a short-term solution to a long-term problem, right? Then you spend all your savings, you dwindle out like everything that you own. We had a family cabin I've had since 1996. Means a lot to me. And I was even like, maybe we should sell that. Like what a dumb idea, right? Because then we would have just had nothing at the end of the day. So what happened was I knew what was coming next. I knew that it was going to be, hey, I know this isn't ideal, but you're probably going to have to get a 9-to-5. And I was like, hell over high water. I will not be doing that. The thought of having to go back to something that I literally, not only had I grown to hate it while I was in corporate, just the freaking personalities and just, all the nuances and everything with it. It's just, once you have given yourself the gift of doing something on your own, entrepreneurship, you will never go back. It would feel like going to prison. So I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, like I have a toddler, I have a baby on the way, and now I'm probably going to have to get a 9-to-5. And I can tell you, again, kind of going back to my superpower, I was like, that will not be happening. I will not be going back to a 9-to-5, and I will do anything to make sure that that doesn't happen. So long story short, I'm laying in bed. I see an Instagram reel roll through, this really fun looking like charcuterie cart type of thing. I'm like, I could do this. It's like a charcuterie cart that travels to different opportunities like weddings or corporate events or private parties. Very, very cool, exciting, fun. So I decide, Josh, that's my husband's name, Josh. You probably hear that a lot. I'm like, hey, I think this could be really cool. I think that it would be like a total hit around here. We have all these wineries, we have breweries, we have event venues, we have all these things. And I'm like, I understand I'm about to have a baby, and I understand that our savings account is dwindling before our very eyes, but can I have a little more money, right? Can I take some of this and invest it into something that I think is going to work? Something that would give me flexibility, something that wasn't being chained to a desk, and something that I would actually enjoy because for those of us who are moms out there, when you start having babies, it's it kind of becomes your priority is being a mama, right? But we were somebody before. We had things about us that were not just being a mom. And so sometimes I think we crave that as moms. It's like getting that back. So for me, I was like, oh, I can still like exercise my adult brain and have this business, right? So I'm half expecting him to be like, probably not a great time and talk me out of it. But he didn't. He was like, I mean, I guess if that's what you want to do. And I'm like, oh, I do. I want to do this and I'm going to make it awesome. And he's like, all right, I believe in you. And that's really what it takes. Like just you got to believe in yourself, but it also is kind of helpful if you have other people involved believing in you as well. Now, I go through a very difficult startup because I have no idea what I'm doing. I've been an entrepreneur, but I've never done anything in the food and beverage industry, which is like a pretty regulated entity, as you can imagine. So I'm like, what do? I'm like Google spiraling for weeks. I'm on the phone. I'm trying to figure it out so many times. I probably should have been like, you know what? This is not a good time for this. Like, I'm exhausted. My body is huge. I make gigantic babies. I was aching. I'm like, this sucks, quite frankly. But I pushed because I knew that whatever I spent my time doing today was going to pave my way for tomorrow. And I wanted this future that I'd always dreamed of, not this like last minute pivot having to go back to something that I never wanted to do in the first place, especially now that I had kids. So when I tell you guys, like I burned the midnight oil, that is a drastic understatement. People saw what I was doing. Like people saw the grind that I had, and everybody was like, are you insane? Like, are you like superhuman? How are you doing this? And quite frankly, my answer was, I don't know. I don't know how I'm doing this. But there was something inside of me that just kept telling me to keep going. And that's another really big thing I want everybody to understand is if you ever have something that continues to seem like it's like tapping you on the shoulder, you can't stop thinking about it, you're like, I think I should do this, please don't ignore that. Like PSA, do not ignore that. That is the universe trying to tell you like, hey, open your eyes. This could be for you. Don't ignore this. So if any of you have that going on right now, I want you to really channel that today and figure out why you keep getting that tap on your shoulder. So for me, I'm like, I don't know how I'm doing this. I guess I am superhuman, but I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. I got to the point where this business was legit. I started the business. I was so excited. And remember, I have a very good experience in the marketing and advertising world. I started putting stuff out on social media and it like blew up. I was like, this is so cool, right? So it blows up. I'm so pumped. I'm getting bookings left and right. This is April at the time. I worked my first event and I had a baby 5 days later. Talk about like jarring scenario, right? Like I'd worked so hard for this and I was so happy that my baby was here. But I was like, what am I going to do now? Like I got this close, right? And so what happened next was I had to get scrappy. I had to get out of my own way. And that is something that is very hard for a lot of us to do. Get the hell out of your own way or you're never going to make a change, right? You're never going to find that pivot that's going to be like the right fit. I got out of my way. I thought I had to work all these events. I thought the sky is falling. Oh my gosh, I have to be the one there. Nope. I went to Facebook. I got scrappy. I said, hey, everybody, this is what I'm doing now. Posted a couple pictures of it. It's 2 hours long, right? You're going to go, your work, I'll pay you well. If you're interested, please let me know. I end up building this roster of people that were so excited for this business and for me. And they were like, yeah, we'd love to do this. This is great. And so for me, I was like, oh my God, I got out of my own way. I didn't have to be the one behind this cart, right? Behind these events. I stayed home. I marketed. I direct messaged people. I got events booked. I would shop for the events. Our little friend Instacart over there. I would shop 3 different stores at one time. All this food would show up on my doorstep. These people would come. They'd take it to my commissary, which I have to have for this business. They would prep everything. They'd come back, get a van that my sweet husband would have filled with all of the supplies, everything that they needed for this event, and they would take the van and they'd ride off into the sunset. And here I was, guys, at home with my babies, being a mom first. So it's like almost like makes me emotional because I'm like, holy shit, it was hard to get there. But I pushed and I pushed and I pushed because I knew that the reward would be so great. And so that was such a full circle moment of like, oh my God, I did it. Like I freaking did it. And so I think that that's been like a common theme in my life is like every time I get knocked down, I figure out how to pick myself back up. I make the dream a reality. I even like laugh. I think about when I was a little kid, like things like asking my dad for a puppy. I would make an entire presentation of why I needed the puppy, why all the pros, all the cons, how I would pay for it, all these things. But it was just like, even from like a little kid, I was like, I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to show my parents why this is a good idea. Okay, so that is something that, yes, it is something inside of me, but that is something that can absolutely be inside of you too, as long as you get your mind right, as long as your mindset parallels those thoughts, okay? So I start that business. It's booming. I have people working it. Great. Guess what? It didn't stop there. All of a sudden, I had people all over, honest to God, the world who were like, how do I do this too? Because they were seeing my reels on Instagram. How do I do this too? So I start like onesie twosie answering people, right? Which got very overwhelming. I'm trying to preserve my time. So this was not a good use of my time. So I'm like, okay, everybody, this is what you do. This is what you do. And then I'm like, this is not working for me. I want to help all these people. I want to empower women to be able to do this too. However, it's sucking the life out of me. So I got smart. And we see online all of our friends that are creating courses and content and all those things. And I thought, well, why don't I create a guide that is giving people all of this information that will actually help people to have all the information I didn't have when I started this, all the things that made it really hard. Why don't I make a guide that teaches people, here's where you start, here's all the boxes you're going to check. And I thought, okay, and then also like another way for me to monetize this business, a different aspect of this business. I remember, again, like I just had this burn, I call it like a burning inside my chest, and it's not heartburn. It's like this burning that like something amazing is coming and that I just have to like see it through. So I remember myself like, again, between my baby time and everything, people, they'd be napping, all these things. Back then, they both napped at the same time. What a godsend. Not the case anymore. But I would work on this guide. And I was like, what would be everything that I would have wanted to know in the beginning of this? And I, sure enough, in between everything else going on in my life, created this course that I have now sold over 6,000 copies of in a little over a year. All because I thought outside the box. I saw that there was a need for something like this, and I figured out a way to monetize it. But guess what? It didn't stop there either. All of a sudden, I was seeing people buying this guide. People were trying to start up. You know, it was like exciting. People loved it. But I saw that there was a good amount of people that were like, okay, this was really helpful. But people who lacked support, you know, they had like a million questions still. I mean, it's a PDF guide. It can only get you so far, right? But people who craved more education, more knowledge, more support, a lot of people, a lot of us out there need accountability. And so getting accountability, I'm like, well, you know, here's these people who are like getting it started up, but then they're like, oh, I'm not booking anything, you know, because people don't know about marketing. And I'm like, well, I can't really teach you how to be a master marketer in a PDF guide, right? Like that's really something that kind of comes hands-on. And I can't give you the accountability in a guide. And I can't give you the answers to your specific questions in a guide. So I thought, Jennie, how are we going to level this up? How are we going to create a program that is even better? So I decided to start a coaching program with a much higher ticket than the guide, okay? I started advertising this coaching program. I'll never forget it. Like, I was so excited. I started pushing it out. And mind you, like, today, as it stands on Instagram, I have 140,000 followers for this business and this thing that I'm doing. I have, like, probably 13,000 on TikTok, maybe about the same on Facebook, you know, because I don't really put a lot of attention there. But it's like, this has just grown because people thought it was so cool and so exciting, right? So it's like, here I am filling a gap. I start organically advertising my coaching program. It also blew up. I'm doing like these one-on-one things with people where, you know, I'm talking to people about what the program is, how it can help them. Back then, like, you know, people fill out like an application for this. And I would be like holding their application paper shaking because I just wanted people to see the value that I had put into it. And so, turns out that blew up. In the past year that my coaching program has been going, I've had over 185 people join this program. And I'm going to tell you, like, this program is the shit. I'm very proud of it. I tell you this because I want to inspire you. I want to go back to the beginning here and remind you. I am not somebody who's like sitting at home with all the time in the world to just figure out my next move and like eating bonbons and watching The Housewives. I'm not doing that. I am so overstimulated. Okay, my kids, I told you, they're back to back. I had my son 9 months later, accidentally got pregnant. My babies are only 16 months apart, so they're called Irish twins. I have built all of this throughout, like, being a mom, having a newborn, a very young baby, life in general, my older kids, everything that has been life in, I've built this around that. And I would today call this a freaking empire. And the reason that I have decided to start this Girl, Why Not You is because you can see I have gone through some adversity to get here. This has not been an easy path for me. I want to inspire the heck out of you. I want you to be like, oh my gosh, if this small town overstimulated chick can do this, so can I. And I'm not saying you have to follow the same path. But I am going to give you so many nuggets on these podcasts that not only are going to help you get out of your own way, but are going to help you find that thing that you are craving and then help you to take that to infinity and beyond. Okay? I am so excited to be here with you. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my story today. Trust me when I tell you that as much as I have put into this empire I have already built, I will be putting 10 times into this podcast because I know firsthand how much having somebody like me telling you that you can do this is going to be an absolute game changer. So if you're ready, ladies out there, get ready because it's going to be a good ride. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please ask yourself, girl, why not you? If something in this episode made you sit up a little straighter or dream a little bigger, don't ignore it. That's your future nudging you. I'm living proof that you can start messy, start scared, start in the worst timing, and still create something beautiful. Thank you for listening to Girl, Why Not You? Now go take one small step towards the life you've been craving. Hit subscribe, leave a review if you feel called, and share this with someone who's ready for more.